Hi guys, it's Chastity of Rain. I said, "Oh, I'm leaving early." I guess my dad said, "Oh, no, you're not. No, you're not. You might as well get comfortable." So I figured let me take a topic for my Quora. And someone posted a very interesting one. And she said, "Why is it that when a narcissist can't control you, they attempt to try to control the way that other people perceive you?" And this is a key way that narcissists attempt to break you. They feel that if people don't like you, or if he or she can say, "Oh, well, that's why so and so doesn't like you, and they said this and that about you, and oh, that's why I can't get along with you because something's wrong with you. Oh, I know something is wrong with you." They just have to put a diagnosis on their victim. They have to have something to validate their inability to communicate, their inability to have a relation with you, a relational experience with people. They're not able to have constructive relational experiences with people. One thing I noticed that narcissists tend to have a relationship more with themselves than with other people. So in their mind, they're in a state in their mind where they literally believe and perceive that these thoughts and these validations of their self are true. That when they get out into the world, it has no way to be covered because this is the way they truly perceive their self to be. And they spend so much time alone in that space inside of their brain and their illness. They rest in their illness so frequently that when they come out into reality, they do this. And I'm going to have to take a sip of tea before I tell you what they do because I want you to think back when I tell you what they do and just remember the countless amount of times that a narcissist has done this to you. So cheers. Let's take a sip. And I'm going to tell you this, and I need a sip of tea before memory lane is a fun place to go. It's a funny place to go when you've been um, freed from being in a narcissistic relationship, but it's not so funny to those who are going through it. But this is what they'll do. A narcissist will have a tendency to say the rudest things to you, and they're not even aware that what they're saying is rude. Like, you'll have to think, did they realize that they just offended me, or did they do that because they're just trying to belittle me? Is that a side disrespect? What is that? Is that a good thing or a bad thing? I mean, you can never ever know with a narcissist. They have the most difficult time with relationships. They're just not relational people. And sometimes they're saying these rude and offensive things to you, and as I mentioned, they're inside of their brain so often with the sickness that in their mind they're thinking these things and they're saying these things, but when they get out in public they actually begin to carry these things with them. And that is what really classifies a person as a narcissist. They really don't have any self-control over these things. And unfortunately for them, I mean, if that were a problem where they just were an offensive person and they only impacted their self and they were sick and nobody was being impacted by it or could be impacted by it, hey, that'd be fine. Nobody would have much to say about them. They haven't grown up. They're sick. They're in a state where they just have a mirage of thoughts that they're somewhere in the desert and they see water and there's no water there. A lot of the narcissists have very little working ability. And a lot of people, when I went to a seminar at Boehringer Ingelheim, they had a special staff member called in to speak to this issue. They have staff that they're hiring now that come in and just check out the environment of the staff, the morale of the staff, because they're getting so many reports of staff being mistreated by particular directors, particular management. When they keep getting these recurring complaints, it starts to raise the alarm. And then at some point, they end up losing their jobs, or they end up on a tight rope on their job, or they're just utterly not liked on their job. There's this one person that we used to have in our office that everybody used to refer to as Sybil. I mean, she was so sick. I mean, no matter how many compliments or how many ways you tried to turn the conversation in her favor to feed her, she still had to sneak a feed off of you in some way. She, even if it was just a nasty, dismissive attitude, she just sits with this thing, this illness, this anger, this pain, this frustration. Whatever happened to her, it impacted her in a way where she is just somebody that just sits in misery. She just waits for an opportunity to bark at someone and be mean to them. And when they no longer are calculating these responses, when they're just doing this ridiculousness and this harsh and mean treatment towards people, that is a fully diagnosed DSM considered narcissist who may carry so many of the traits that it's almost on the path of sociopath. And that is why you have to get out of those relationships as soon as possible. When somebody will do almost anything to make you look bad, to discredit you, to devalue you, to make you feel bad, it really won't matter much how it impacts you to them. And your outcome won't impact them much either. If they mess around and hurt you and cause you to harm yourself or cause someone else to harm you as a result of something they said, because remember, they're very big liars, it matters not to them. Again, they'll try to direct the reasoning to them and how they were damaged by the whole thing, how it all is ultimately affecting them, because it's all about them. It's nothing to do with you. It is all about them. And the sooner that we learn how to disengage them, is the better off we'll be. And that's what it's about. It's about the disengagement piece. Because I'm quite sure many of us are realizing now that they're not good for us. But learning how to disengage and move back out of the narcissist radar. You have to get off the radar. And by doing that, you have to allow him or her to find a new prey. And if they can't find a new prey, oftentimes narcissists will feed on their self. And the way that they feed on their self is by going through all kinds of different calamities, and too prideful to come to someone for help, will sit there and suffer. And those people that they may decide they want to go to and help, they may have already burned, because they will ask for help if they feel they can do it in an offset manner. Like the narcissist I was married to, I never forget, he told me he had came down with a blood clot in the leg. And I'll never forget, he told me that he told his family, because this is what he said: it's cheaper to get me fixed in this hospital here in Jamaica, because he was deported, than burying me. It's cheaper to have the doctor fix me than it is to bury me. Excuse me? Who says things like that? I mean, one time he said to me, I've already come to the fact that I'm going to be living a short life. I won't live long. I've already... What? I mean, some of the things that he would say would literally cause you to cringe. And it was very scary. It was a scary experience to see someone that was so devoid of emotion, so devoid of any kind of compassion, that he even lacked it for himself. Well, don't you lack it for yourself. Join me on my Quora at Chastity Child, where I am a partnered Quora narcologist, and I am also a pre-med student. So meet me over there and we can continue the conversation. Sometimes I choose my questions from Quora and I discuss them, and hopefully it will help one of us to either learn how to heal, learn how to leave, or learn how to go get help. And if you need help and you keep finding yourself going back with a narcissist, I'd suggest you get it. because you just never know when the narcissist could lose his temper, his or her temper, either have you arrested, hurt or harm one of the children. Narcissists will go after their own. They have no problem with that. They eat their young. So they will try to destroy their child. And are they aware of this? I really can't say that the narcissist knows that he has the potential to harm his young. Because not all victims of narcissists are victims of narcissists that they've chose to be in a relationship. Some are victims of their own parents. Some people's parents are just narcissists. And where there's one narcissist, you must be careful. Keep your radar alert, because there could be someone else in their family that is likewise narcissist. My ex-husband, him and his sister, they were a team duo. They were good for each other. They worked really good together in their illness. So you have to be very careful that you don't allow them to feed. Pardon me. Let me just take a sip of tea. Sorry, you guys. You do not want to allow them to feed, because that's what they want. I don't care if they sideswipe you like, that makeup don't look good on you today. Oh, who did your hair? Oh. So, what do you plan on losing? A pound or what? How many? What are you going to do about that weight? You know, anything that can take you from a high to a low, that is what the narcissist does. So that is how you best know who narcissists are. They'll say something to you that they wouldn't want said to themselves. Because I guarantee you, if you try to pop the same shit they popped out at you back at them, it wouldn't go down easy. Okay? So, can I get some hearts on that? Give me a super heart on that. So, they cannot receive back. They cannot handle criticism, but they certainly can give it. And there's going to come a point where they're going to stand in accountability for that. And the best way to get the process rolling is to make sure that you're not in the radar. Give them the deuces and don't look back.